What did Flynn do? Are we any closer to that answer?
No. I mean, after all the talk we have yesterday, we still don't know what it was originally that Michael Flynn did that set off all of this concern. Sally Yates testified that she went to the White House and she explained to the White House counsel of Flynn's, quote, underlying conduct that was problematic in and of itself. But what was it? She wouldn't say. Now, a lot of the talk among senators and others is that it was simply the act of Flynn talking to the Russian ambassador during the transition and talking about sanctions to the Russian ambassador. We do know, or think we know, that Flynn did lie about that inside the White House. He told Vice President Pence that he didn't do it. So that's clearly an issue. But this underlying conduct, what was it that was so problematic that made Flynn vulnerable to blackmail, as Sally Yates said? Still don't know.
Yeah, was it sanctions? Was it money? Was it neither?
Well, we don't know
because today we are guessing, Byron.
Exactly. She explained that her knowledge of that is based in classified information, and therefore she could not discuss it.
All right, so this is what she said about why she went to the president and suggested Flynn not be brought on. Watch here.
Logic would tell you that you don't want the national security advisor to be in a position where the Russians have leverage over him. Now, in terms of what impact that may have had or could have had, I can't speak to that. But we knew that that was not a good situation, which is why we wanted to let the White House know about it.
Okay, fair. I think it's a fair comment there. We can all agree on that. But he was fired. And whether it took 18 minutes or 18 days, Byron, he was out.
Well, it could have been there was a disagreement between the White House and Sally Yates about the severity, the importance of that underlying conduct. There are a lot of people, Republicans, former officials like Stephen Hadley, who used to be the National Security Advisor for George W. Bush, who say there's nothing wrong with an incoming National Security Advisor to talk to the Russian ambassador, and in the context of what was happening in December, to talk about sanctions to the Russian ambassador. So you almost get the idea that Flynn may have lied about innocent conduct, which raises a real question mark. You think, well, why did they do that? But it's clear that he didn't tell the truth to White House officials, and that's the reason they gave for firing him. But what actually was the conduct at the bottom of all this? Still unclear.
I'd back up 3 years. I mean, context of the relationship is very important. He was fired by President Obama.
Yes.
And he went public against President Obama's policies, right? He was an early disciple of Donald Trump as a candidate. He spoke on night number 1 at the Republican convention in Cleveland, Ohio. I mean, these guys were close. They were tight, Byron.
The president clearly valued Flynn's loyalty. Remember, Donald Trump didn't have that many big-time people endorsing him. You know, Jeff Sessions, for a long time, was the only senator to endorse Trump for months and months and months. And Michael Flynn had been the director of the Defense Intelligence Agency. He had been at the very top of the military intelligence establishment in Washington, and he was very valuable to Donald Trump, both as an advisor and as a display that Trump could actually attract top-level support. So once Trump won, Flynn was going to get a big job because of that loyalty.
Last thing, can you wrap this up as to where it goes, or do we know?
Well, what we have to do, I think, is declassify some of this information. We saw that the chairman of the subcommittee, Senator Lindsey Graham, said to Yates yesterday, you need to explain some of this stuff to us, the senators, in a classified setting. The bigger issue is they need to explain some of that stuff to the American people in a non-classified setting. So for this ever to be actually resolved, the public has to know a little bit more about what went on.